please introduce yourself and tell something about your role in the company.
Sure. So my name is Allard de Boer. I am the director of analytics at Adevinta. Adevinta is a holding company that has multiple classifieds brands, like in the Netherlands, Marktplaats, in Germany, mobile.de, in France, Spain, Italy. And my role is to scale the data and analytics across the different portfolio businesses.
And how did you first hear about Rewire, or formerly My Company?
I got introduced to My Company, I think 6-7 years ago, and we started working on the academy for Marktplaats back then, and have worked successfully since then.
Can you tell me a little about the challenges that you were facing, that you wanted to resolve in that collaboration? So what were your team challenges?
Well, so Marktplaats is a technology company, so we have enormous technology, we have a lot of data, and every solution that people within the company want to create has a foundation in technology. So there were no limitations on there, and we had a lot of questions around data and analytics, and every time people threw more technology against it. And we saw that ran into limitations, because and the people operating the technology, and they were scarce. So we needed to scale in a different way. So what we need to do is get more people involved in our data and analytics efforts within the organization, and make sure that it was a foundational capability throughout the organization. So this is how we started thinking about how can we scale these use cases further, see how we can take what we have, but then make it common throughout the whole organization, and then specifically for different use cases we can scale this further. So this is one of the problems that we did. One of the specific problems was that we did a lot of A/B testing and experimentation. So any new feature on Marktplaats was tested through A/B testing, and it was evaluated, seen how it performed on customer journeys, but also how it performs on company revenue. And this was so successful that we wanted to do more experiments and more experiments every time. But then we ran into the limitations of how many people can look at the experimentation, how many people understand what they're actually looking at. We were talking about things like statistical significance, but actually only a few people knew what that actually meant. So there we saw that there's a limitation on capabilities within the organization, and we needed to scale this further. And this is where we started looking for a partner that can help us with understanding how to scale the education, really raise the level of literacy within our organization, and that's how we came up with My Company and Rewire.
That sounds quite complex, because I assume you're talking about different groups of people with different capability levels, but also over different countries. How do you approach the challenge?
Well, so the necessity came when Marktplaats was the growth came very natural to us, because we had a very good model. Marktplaats was growing very quickly in the Netherlands, and then over a while the growth started to flatten out a bit. So we needed to rethink how we run the organization. So we moved to customer journeys and understanding much more towards the customer needs. Understanding those customer needs is difficult because we're a virtual company. So seeing what customers do, understanding what they need, is something we need to track digitally. This is where the data and analytics is so vital for us as a company. If you have a physical store, you can see how people move around. But if your store is only online, the data and analytics is your only corridor to understand what are the customer needs. When we did this change at Marktplaats, people understood instantly that the data should be leading when we make decisions. And this is also where we came from an organization where there was a lot of gut feeling decision making being done, where we shifted to data-driven decision making and instantly saw acceleration in our performance.
And that's I like that move from gut feeling based decision making to data driven decision making. Can you think of an example from practice that you think that was a moment that I saw this is really a decision that we make based on data and it's really different than what we did before?
Yeah, so like the one of the concepts we introduced was we call it holistic testing. So you need to understand, like any problem we solve on Marktplaats is like a Rubik's Cube. You sort of solve one side, but then all the other sides get messed up. An example is like we introduced a new advertising position on our platform, and it performed really well on revenue. However, the customers really hated it. So we saw, and if we only looked at the revenue, we saw, okay, this is going well. However, if you then look at how customers like it, then you will see that over time that uptake will diminish because the customer satisfaction will go down. And this is an example of where we looked at let the performance on from all angles, and we're able to scale this further.
And then you mentioned that in this entire transformation to become more data driven, you needed to do something about the people capabilities.
Yes.
And how did you approach that?
Well, we had like a great sponsorship from the top. We had a visionary leader in the leadership team, and when we set out there, we said like, okay, everybody, because data is so important to us as a company, and effectively it is the core of our product. So everybody from receptionist to CEO needs to have at least a profound understanding of the data. And within specific areas, of course, we want to go deeper and much more specific. But everybody needs to have access to the data, understand what they're looking at, understand how to interpret the data. I think just to give you one example is that because we have so many data points and so many KPIs, you could always find a KPI that would go up. But if you only focus on that one but not look at the other KPIs, you would not have the full view of actually what is happening. By training people to know where to find the data, what the KPIs mean, how to use these, what are good practices, what are bad practices, the application of those of the consumption of the data really went up, and also the quality of the decisions went up through that.
We had support from the top. Well, we had the sponsorship from the top. How important is that component?
For me, this is vital. I think there's a lot of things you can do bottom up. And of course, this is where much of the innovation or like the early starting of new ideas happen. But when the leadership really starts leading in, this is where it becomes to accelerate. Just to give you an example is I've been responsible for implementing certain data governance topics for a few years back. And it took me months to get on the roadmap, maybe sometimes even up to a year to get things solved. When we shifted the company to focus on impact, and everybody was needed to measure their impact, leadership started leaning in, and I could get things solved within months and even weeks.
So you've been collaborating with Rewire on the educational program. What would be your what do you like most about that collaboration, about this analytics university that we've developed together?
Yeah, so I think ever since I started working with Rewire, there's multiple things that really stand out for me. So one is the quality of the people. And the Rewired people are very high, are the best talent in the market. And also when developing this analytics university or this academy that we have in-house, I was able to work with the best people within the Rewire organization. This really helped to set up a high quality program that instantly went well. And the other part, it's also a company that oozes energy when you come in. Like when I come into the office, I'm always welcome. The drinks are always available at the end of the week. And I think this also shows that it is a company of people working well together with the partners there.
What I like a lot in those partnerships is that it comes from two sides. So not every partnership flourishes, but those that flourish, those are the ones that also open up to a real partnership. And then once you have that, then you really see an accelerated collaboration. And I like that a lot about that working together.
Yeah, I think like Rewire is not just a vendor for us. Like you guys have been a partner for us from the start. I've always shared this as a collaborative effort. Like we could have never done this without Rewire. And I think this is also why it's such a strengthy like partnership over the many years.